What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. So, more news, more drama surrounding the situation. Now, Steve Ballmer speaks out about the circumventing the salary cap in regards to Kawhi Leonard, the $28 million that we talked about the other day, in regards to the no-show job that they really basically implemented for Kawhi, getting paid that type of money, whether he shows up to work or not, through a tree service or whatever type company that they wanted to call it or something like that, just so he'll have some more reassurance in regards to getting paid, even though Kawhi is already rich enough. But at the same time, that was their option that they presented to Kawhi at the time, based upon the reports and Pablo Torre, to lure Kawhi to that part of LA, which is the Clippers, rather than going to the Lakers, which a lot of people projected him to go to several years ago once he won the championship with Toronto. And it was projected for him to leave Toronto and go to LA, and everybody was thinking the Lakers rather than the Clippers, but the Clippers had other ideas. They presented him things and perks and things like that where the Lakers couldn't, so he took the money, he took the bait. And I really can't say I blame Kawhi a lot, because you could look at it from a standpoint of he probably would have had an easier life with the Los Angeles Lakers, because it would have been him, LeBron, and AD. At the very minimum, they would have won at least one championship, which was the bubble, and probably would have won at least maybe one more, or went to multiple finals at least. But he took the route with the Clippers, and to be honest, I actually am glad he kind of took that route, because it would just be unfair looking at him on a team with just a stacked team. I never really liked the super team deal. I always been against it. But I mean, if your preference is super teams, then all power to you. No worries there. I just prefer, everybody to compete at the highest level and really see who the best of the best is. We can't find out who's the best of the best players if they're all on one team. But hey, that's just my opinion. But either way, Steve Ballmer has came out and said this is ridiculous, basically in so many words, that this is basically nonsense, and he's basically asking for the league to check out other teams. Other teams have done the same thing, not just the Clippers. And he's basically asking for the league to investigate, because he feel like he hasn't done anything wrong or hasn't stepped out of bounds in any way to where it's harming the NBA or harming anything that has anything to do with, their team success, salary cap, or anything of that nature. Now, of course, that can be questioned, because when you look at a situation like this, it looks bad in all phases. And, well, I'll say this. If you look at it from another standpoint, in this situation, other teams didn't get caught. The Clippers did. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of those situations where we could look at it and say, hey, this team over here did the exact same thing we did. But at the same time, if you're the one who got caught doing it, another team didn't, well, that doesn't really say much. It's just the fact that you're pointing fingers now because you got caught up in a situation and trying to basically rat on other teams. It could be looked at that way, and I understand it if you do view it that way. I really do. But at the same time, this is something that the Clippers are going to have to deal with all season, and this is another burden on Kawhi. Kawhi has a lot of burdens on him in regards to load management and things like that, and this is just something that the media can just add to his resume in a negative way, and put more onus on Kawhi rather than just the ownership of the Clippers, because I personally don't think it's Kawhi's fault. I mean, if you offer somebody money, more likely they're going to take it. I mean, that's just the natural consensus thought of any human being, especially when we're dealing with $28 million, those type of dollars. You're going to take it. And plus, the company, I think, was not only KL2, which is Kawhi, signed to the company. I think Drake was actually signed to the company too, I believe. So, I mean, there were others signed to the company regardless. It just basically folded, or it just didn't work out with the company. So that's the reason why it turned out the way it did. But I do believe Steve Ballmer, in regards to other teams, have done things like this, not just the Clippers. I feel like sometimes the league just try to find ways to knock the Clippers down, even though they're trying to, make a come up and be a good team and be a contender. Even the media sometimes knocks them down even more. I mean, you've heard over the years where they talk about the Lakers, whether they're winning or losing, and there are times where the Clippers were on winning streaks and winning well and playing a lot better than the Lakers, and the Lakers still get more of the notoriety just because of who the Lakers have been throughout history. But it's always been a knock on the Clippers. So the Clippers Nation, you got to understand this just comes with it, And I'm pretty sure you understand that. But at the same time, the Clippers didn't make their lives any easier by allowing certain sources to tap into that company or whatever was surrounding it. Because, see, really what it comes down to is somebody snitched probably within the organization or within that company service that they had set up for Kawhi, in which he had the $28 million, awarded to him for signing on to that company, which is an extra incentive to basically get him on the Clippers at that time back then to allow him to have more perks and things of that nature. But I am glad of the fact that Steve Ballmer is saying, let the league investigate, let them do what they want to do, because it kind of shows that he doesn't feel like he's guilty. He doesn't feel like he did anything wrong. Neither did the Clippers organization or his team, nor Kawhi. They just basically set something up to where it gives Kawhi a little bit more perks as a superstar and give him the incentive to want to come to the Clippers and build a unified team as much as they can to win, which they have done throughout the years. It just hasn't worked out due to injuries and things of that nature. But they got Kawhi because they offered him the best pitch. They pitched him the best offer, other than Lakers and maybe other teams who was trying to get him at that time when he was leaving Toronto. And, it worked out for them. But hopefully this doesn't backfire on them in a way where they lose a lot of cachet like picks or anything like that, or any voided contracts or anything of that nature, because I've heard that can possibly happen with Kawhi. Voiding his contract or something like that is one of the rules or one of the things that can happen once Adam Silver investigates, which I don't see that happening. Voiding his contracts or terminating a contract or something like that. I can't see none of that happening. But if it does, Kawhi is definitely well off, paid, no worries there. And I definitely think he'll still play basketball. But at the same time, I think this is just something that, just came back on the Clippers and they just happened to get caught in a situation, or somebody just within their camp snitched and told certain people and it got back to certain sources. Pablo Torre somehow, who does a lot of investigating for the NBA and things like that. So it just came off in a negative way, and it's just something negative for the media to talk about, Kawhi Leonard in a negative way or the Clippers. So they just have to find their way through it and get their way through it and get into the season and focus on basketball and kind of go from there. But it definitely is a negative light over the Clippers and Kawhi, especially because of, a lot of people think he doesn't want to play games and things like that. And the fact that it's a no-show deal, where he can sit at home and basically get paid, it just really looks bad for the NBA in general, because a lot of people believe NBA players, they don't play their hardest. They play enough to get paid and then they relax after that. They don't play with no pride, almost like college or something like that does. And this is just one of those situations that basically looks more and more visible to people, where NBA players want the money, but they don't want to earn it and go out there and play for it. So hopefully this, gets passed and everything works out for the Clippers, and they just go into the season and focus and try to find a way to, gel and win a championship.